A bereaved father attempts to adopt a tiny child with Down syndrome whom no one wants. Years later, he receives some surprising news from a lawyer. Uncomfortably, David Wallace paced up and down the hospital waiting area. "Calm down, Dave," his brother Jack exclaimed. "It's as if no one has ever had a child." David burst out laughing. "I understand," he conceded. "I'm terrified. I've always wanted to be a mother." Jack gave his younger brother a friendly pat on the back. "Get ready to be a father, my man." The doctor then entered and approached David. David merely knew that something in his stare had stopped all laughter. He didn't even cry, but his knees crumpled when he attempted to walk. As if he were a child, a grieving Jack had to carry his brother home. He awoke to a calm home after Rita and their baby had been buried, and everyone save Dave appeared to be ready to forget. He reached towards Rita's side of the bed. Empty. For the sake of their children, parents will make the most difficult decisions. He stood up and walked down the corridor to the nursery, where he turned on the magnificent nightlight that projected soft pastel stars onto the ceiling. He and Rita had decorated the room with grief and aspiration. Everything has vanished. Dave cried as he sat in the rocking rocker Rita insisted on. His heart and home were empty, as were his hopes. He wanted to tear down the nursery and fill that void. A thought flashed through his mind. Anger cannot fill a hole. Only love can. Who said that? Dave was baffled. He'd heard something like that someplace, sometime. Perhaps that thought will save his life. Dave contacted social services to inquire about adopting or fostering a child. The social worker was first concerned. "We don't normally give children to single parents," she explained, "though it is becoming more prevalent." "I've got a good life," Dave replied. "I have so much love to give a child. My wife and I have always desired to have children, and I want to make that happen." The social worker pulled out a dossier covered in colorful stickers. "Would you be willing to take in a special needs child?" she queried. Dave made a shaky motion with his head. "All children are unique, and they all have unique needs," he said quietly. "We never know what God has planned for us. I'll take the child who requires my assistance." Of course, before the big day, Dave had to go through a series of interviews and parenting seminars. They informed him that he was the father of a son. "We have a small child who has been in 3 different foster homes," the social worker explained. "Hello, my name is Sam, and my son is 2 years old. He was born with the condition Down syndrome." "Where is he?" Dave inquired. "Sam has some health issues you should be aware of," stated the social worker. "I'll take him to the pediatrician," Dave said. "Whatever he needs, he'll get." It was love at first sight for Dave when he spotted Sam. Sam was the most adorable infant he'd ever seen. Sam was timid at first, but as he learned how much Dave loved him and how caring he was, he gradually came out of his shell. Dave could not comprehend how anyone could refuse such a cute child. Of course, Sam took a bit longer to achieve his milestones, and the doctor warned them to keep an eye on his heart, but he was beautiful in practically every aspect. Dave's day was made when he picked up Sam from daycare and his young boy raced to him, arms wide open. As he raised Sam up high and tickled his fat little tummy, Dave's heart would fill with love. As he watched Sam sleep, he'd call out to his late wife, "Rita, I realized our dream, and I filled the love void you and our kid left in my life." Sam grew at the same rate as any other youngster over the years. According to the doctor, his heart was fine. He was a happy, gregarious young man who made friends with everyone he met. Nobody could compete with Sam and his bright smile. The phone was constantly ringing with overnight and playdate invitations, and Dave was fighting to keep up with Sam's packed social calendar. Sam began to want to go out with his pals on his own when he was 12, like the big boy he was. It wasn't easy for Dave, but like any other father, he learned to give his children space. Then one day he received a phone call from a lawyer. The man introduced himself as Mr. Wallace. "I'm phoning on behalf of your biological son's mother. What exactly do you want?" Dave inquired harshly. "I'd like to speak with you," the lawyer said. "I'm not interested," Dave said flatly. "Those folks deserted my kid. Nothing you could say would interest me." "Please, Mr. Wallace," said the lawyer, "for Sam's sake." Dave reluctantly agreed to meet with the lawyer. The guy gave Dave a letter as soon as he arrived. "This will explain everything so much better than I ever could, Mr. Wallace," he said. "Dear Mr. Wallace, if you are reading this, I am finally at rest with my beloved wife," Dave said as he opened the package. "I appreciate your loving and caring for my beautiful Sam. We were aware of Sam's Down syndrome before he was born, and it didn't bother us. We were overjoyed to see him. We had hoped for a long and happy family life, but it was not to be. Sam was admitted to the hospital for examinations when he was 3 months old. My wife, Emily, and I were on our way to the hospital to pick him up when we were hit by a car. Emily died instantly, but I was left paralyzed. For the past 12 years, I've been a dead man who nonetheless breathed, grieved, and despised God. I was not the father Sam deserved. I wanted the best for my child, so I placed him for adoption. Mr. Wallace, I was correct because you adopted my son and have been the best dad imaginable. I want you to be able to tell Sam that his biological parents loved and wanted him one day. I never want my youngster to think his parents abandoned him. Please notify him. My lawyer will give you the documentation for Sam's trust funds, which you will keep. Thank you, Mr. Wallace, for loving my Sam and being the parent I should have been." The lawyer granted Dave access to Sam's trust fund, which totaled $1.2 million, money he promised would safeguard his son's future, just as his biological father had planned. Dave wondered whether the family who had rejected Sam would have refused the money if they had known it existed. Sam's biological father had been wise to conceal his wealth so that his son might be loved for himself.